Hey guys, I hope you're all doing very well. So, very recently I started fasting, and this is actually the first time I've actually ever done it. And basically, what I did is I challenged myself to fast to basically go as long as I could. So, the length I actually went for my fast was actually around 4 days, which for a lot of people would think that's a bit insane for your first time. And I really want to kind of talk about, my experiences of fasting, what got me inspired into doing it, and kind of give you the pointers that I took from my fasting that I will improve on, or also take notes of, and seeing how I could pass that information to you guys, whether it's a worthwhile investment in for you to try it. First question that people will ask is, why did I start fasting, and what got me inspired into it? So recently I saw on Instagram from Dana White that he did his 72-hour water fast. I think he did 86 hours, I believe. And his Instagram story was very interesting to see how the transformations and the results that he felt from his fasting really took on him. And I think watching the results from his the first time the last time he ate to now his results now was really interesting. And I also saw the evidence around fasting as well, that went around saying it reduces your risk of cancers, diseases, Alzheimer's by 70%. And the fact that all that science was correlated to fasting as well, it seemed that it probably is an interesting challenge to do, and there's probably also a lot of health benefits as well people can take. So what I'm going to do now is just basically show you some photos of my fasting journey, and also show you some of the results, and also what I took during the time that I was fasting, to kind of give you some better explanation of how I accomplished it. So here are the photos. So here are the two photos side by side. So the left photo here is basically where I started my fasting. So that's when I literally begun. And from the right photo, that's basically me 88 hours later into my fast. And I'm not going to judge for myself both side by side. I'll leave you to judge. But I think the photo is pretty clear to me that I do look a lot more leaner and more into better shape in the right photo versus the left photo. So I feel, when you look at it from an external point of view, you do see some good results from doing it. So it does seem legitimate if you really want to improve your body composition. Here in the next photos you see is my body weight. So when I started my fasting, I was around 84.5 kilograms. And basically on the right hand side of my photo, when I'm 88 hours in, I'm now 80.7 kilograms. So the weight loss has definitely paid off significantly during those 4 days. Now, a lot of you would now be asking questions of, how was I able to achieve this? So most of my time doing this fasting, most of it will just purely be drinking waters. Averaging around 2 liters of water a day is pretty much ideal. Sometimes it could even go more than that, because most of your body will just be completely replenishing water every single time. And even when you get into the state of being, feeling that you need to eat, if you drink water, it would help ease a lot of that hunger issues that you might have. So those were some of the points that I've had throughout my days, just continuously just drinking water all the time. Now, a lot of these fasts that people would do is not purely fully strict. So I didn't go fully strict, just purely drinking water. So there are some other things I would have. So I would have protein and supplements to replenish myself, because most of the times doing it, I would feel deficient. So one day I had a protein shake because I was at the gym working out. Afterwards, I had a protein shake, which was less than 100 calories. And I also took some vitamins and supplements as well. And I also had some pure black coffee or just some caffeine formulas into my drinks as well. So those were basically some of the things that I did. Some of them were distributed from different days, so I wasn't having it all the time. And that's kind of where I would basically not fully restrict myself just purely on water, because I think for certainly the first time I did it, there was definitely an element of fear of being deficient. So some questions would be, oh, you lose all that weight, does that translate in loss of muscle mass? And a lot of what's really interesting from my personal experience is, even when I was training, I trained on the first day I was fasting, and then I was on my second day of fasting, and also my fourth day of fasting. And surprisingly, my strength and how I felt was good. I would say the fourth day of fasting, very I didn't feel replenished of any sort of glucose or anything, so I felt fatigue did kind of kick in very quickly at times. So because obviously when you're fasting, you lose lots of carbohydrates, blood glucose is not really being replenished, so your blood sugar levels will be very low, and that did have some effect. But what I will say is, certainly more of the times feeling the physical state and feeling inside, I felt a lot better. Feeling more lighter and just being more agile as well, which I think really does have an important role, because you have so much excess weight that you don't really feel like you're using at all. That can really help most of your day-to-day mobility, your day-to-day life, and losing that weight can be good to help improve that. So those are basically some of the advice and my views that I've had with my fasting. Now, I want to really be very clear. I do think for a lot of people who do fasting, I would say you really, really have to do a lot of research to get into it. It's not as easy just to say, hey, I'm going to fast and I'm going to do it. I think for a lot of people, there's going to be lots of people with different medical conditions. I would say if you have medical conditions, I would really would suggest that you would speak to like a GP or a doctor, someone who is in a professional field that could really give you that advice. Because obviously for myself, I'm not a GP, doctor, any of that. So for me, I can't give you that advice. So for me, I can only give you what my opinions and my experiences of doing it is. Now, from my perspective, I don't have any medical conditions or anything. And do I think this was worth it for me? I would say for at least 80 to 90% of the time, yes, I would say so. I feel better. I feel more fulfilled in some ways. And I feel more disciplined as well from doing it, because your mind doesn't constantly think every single time, I have to eat, I have to continuously replenishing food all the time. So you feel a lot more better from doing it. Now, there are a few negatives to it. So one of the negatives was definitely the first 24 hours. My mind was just constantly just thinking of needing to eat. And really, really putting your mindset into food all the time was really getting to me. So the first 24 hours was really tough. But I think afterwards, when you continually drink water in the next few days, you start to realize that your body's just adapting and getting used to it. And it gets into a complete reset, which feels in a weird way very fulfilling, but in some ways there is that element of discomfort. But I think for a lot of people, going through that sort of pain and discomfort is actually a good sign that you're being disciplined, you're persevering with pain and struggles, which for a lot of people when they do tend to fast, would struggle for especially a long period of time. So that was definitely something that I felt very fulfilled, that I was able to go through my pains and struggles to get away from that cycle of needing to eat all the time, and just drinking water, keep moving around is actually made me lost my appetite to not think about food. Now, I've now stopped fasting now. I would say the element of getting back to eating again felt a bit strange. I don't feel awful from it, but I think the time to adapt from it does change a lot. It doesn't feel anywhere contraindicated to me at all, or anything that feels awful in any way. But what I would say is it does have a weird feeling getting back from eating again after you're fasting. So you are going to feel a little bit wheezy or a bit of discomfort whilst getting back eating again. My suggestion would be just eat very slowly. maybe don't eat really hot foods or spicy foods. Just eat normal foods to just replenish yourself, and you'll feel a lot better from it. That's one thing I would say, because the last thing you would have when you go back eating again from fasting, you would just feel just sick and just feel nauseous. So yeah, lots of points that I could really take in from this. I assume there will be a lot of questions, but if I had to really describe fasting, I think it's definitely a an experience and something that definitely worth trying again. I don't know whether I'll go longer than what I did, or maybe do more intermediate fasts, or who knows, maybe go even longer. But one thing for certain, it's definitely made me feel more fulfilled. My body feels better in a lot of ways, and it pushes me onto that reset. But if you do have medical conditions or any pre-existing conditions or just any of those sort of things, then I would say probably best to speak to an expert, because I'm certainly not that. But yeah, very, very interesting. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, subscribe, dislike if you want to dislike. And yeah, that's about it. See you later.